Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Saturday Snapshot. And here we are, beginning the month of June. And so I just want to take a real quick reminder or opportunity just to remind you that tomorrow we are only having one service. Our service starts at 10 o'clock, and then we'll have lunch following that service. So I hope you're making plans to come and be with us tomorrow morning. Tomorrow I'm going to be starting a new sermon series, so I wanted to tell you the story that I'd come across. It's about a town outside of Tucson, Arizona called Oracle. And many years ago, back in the 90s, this town had built a biosphere that had covered about 3 acres of land. And within that biosphere, they were able to kind of simulate 3 different environments. They had a desert environment, they had a rainforest environment, and then they set up this kind of a savanna kind of experience. And so they were able to kind of duplicate or simulate almost every weather condition possible except one. I'm not sure why they didn't do this, but they did not introduce wind into the biosphere. I don't know if it's because the structure couldn't hold it together or whatever, but there was no wind that entered into that land or into that environment. And so over a couple of years, a strange thing began to happen, and that was some of the trees that had been planted in this biosphere began to fall. They began to bend over and then snap in half. And the reason for that is, as I said, there was no wind that was introduced into that environment. And because there was no wind, there was no turbulence that kind of motivated the trunk of the trees to grow in a way that would cause it to strengthen and create this extra bark, you might say, to strengthen the trunk in order to hold the weight of the tree. Life is like that sometimes. We try to create these environments where we want all of this turbulence to stay away from us, and we may miss out on that strength, that resilience that is meant to come. And I shared it with you because for the next several weeks, I'm starting a new sermon series talking about resilience. And really, how do we take advantage of turbulent times in order to create within us the right strength? And the Bible talks about this idea of being able to build a faith on solid ground so that when the storms come against us, when the turbulence comes at us, we are able to be able to stand strong. That we have deep roots, that we have a wide trunk that allows us to weather those kinds of storms. And one of the ways we may ask ourselves, do I have that resilience today, or have I allowed that reserve to go so empty? Is imagine, I hope it never happens again, but just imagine if we had to go through COVID yet one more time, or some other pandemic. And so like I said, I'll be starting tomorrow. This idea tomorrow, we're talking about bearing fruit out of fruit season, and really this concept of what kind of persons do we need to be to have a deep well of resilience in the midst of turbulent times. So I hope you'll make plans to either join with us in person or online. Subscribe to us on YouTube so that you don't miss that sermon as it comes up. I've already shared with you, just a reminder again, that we will only have one service tomorrow. That'll be at 10 o'clock. We are going to celebrate communion together, and so I hope you'll either be with us in person to enjoy communion, or that if you watch with us online, that you'll have your elements available so that you can share in communion as well. Our plan tomorrow is we'll have 2 stations, and so when you come to receive communion, the way we're set up, we've got 4 different sections, you might say, and the 2 sections in the rear will take communion, and the 2 sections up front will take communion in those stations. I'll explain that more tomorrow so that we can move our communion service along in that process. Also want to invite you, if you are available, I think we may have some wind and some rain coming later this afternoon, this evening, but I hope that that won't hamper you, that you'll come and be a part of our time of prayer at 6:30 this evening. You'll be reminded that I've kind of launched this initiative for us to be prayerful and to be in the spirit of prayer, listening for God's voice and for God's direction as a church, and how we are to become a property, a place where God's glory is revealed to our community. I mean, I'm looking forward to the day when our neighbors start to say, how cool is it that God has chosen to build his house in our community? And so I would love for you to come and be a part of that at 6:30 this evening. Tonight's topic is we're going to talk about what sometimes gets in the way of us actually hearing God speak. A couple of other things I want you to know. Tomorrow, it's been about 8 years, I think, since the last directory has been made. And so we're going to do an in-house directory where there's no photos for you to buy. There's no 8.5 by 11s or whatever those sizes are, 8 by 10s or 5 by 7s. So you can dress up however you want. We're going to invite you tomorrow, if you're here with us in person, that at the end of the service, Matthew is going to have a room that's set up. It's going to have a green screen behind you. You're just going to show up. He's going to take your picture. Brenda's going to have some information for you to fill out for us to make sure that we can have the right information in the directory and also in our church management system. And we'll say bada bing, bada boom, and that green screen, what we'll put behind her is an image of the church. And then as soon as we're able to get at least 80%, I'd love to get 100% of the congregation's pictures. We will print a directory and make it available to folks. And we'll probably do that at a pretty nominal cost, just so we can cover the cost of printing a directory. So we'd love for you to make a plan tomorrow to go into the room right after church or during lunch or sometime before you leave to get your picture taken. If you're joining us online, if you're an online person and doesn't really not really able to come and be with us in person, but you want to be in our directory, want us to have connection with you, we'd love for you to do that. So just send us a photo that you'd like for us to put in the directory, and we'll add that to it as well. A couple other things this week. I myself, that would be one and the same person, right? Myself, Ruth, and possibly Marcia. I think Marcia's got some challenges coming up, but we'll be heading to Lakeland, Florida for our Florida annual conference. Just a kind of explanation, when I say the annual conference, that means all of the United Methodist churches in the state of Florida, minus the Panhandle, are gathering in Lakeland. And when we gather, we do that for the purpose of ordaining clergy, recognizing those who will be in the deacons, the diaconal ministry. We also vote on matters that pertain to churches here in the United Methodist churches here in Florida. So it's a really important time for us when we gather in Lakeland. We also collect an offering. So all the churches in Florida, the United Methodist churches in Florida, are encouraged to bring an offering that collectively goes, in this case, it's going to go help with some of the finances for the Warren Willis camp, and also for a scholarship for students from Florida who will go to Gammon Theological Seminary in Atlanta, Georgia. And so I'd love for us to be able to present a check at this annual conference from the United Methodist Church of the Palm Beaches. So if you'd like to make an offering this week, that would be great to do that. You can just put Bishop's offering on there, and we'll know how to get it to the right location. Then one other thing is on June 21st, we will have another Missions Cafe, and we'd love for you to come and be a part of that. The topic on that Wednesday evening will be our relationship with our sister church in Cuba. Now that I think we're through this COVID pandemic, it's time for us to start revisiting those ministries, those relationships and partnerships that we have with those churches. So, friends, it's been great to be with you again this morning. I do hope and pray that you are having a blessed day, and that you experience God's presence in wonderful ways, and look forward to being in ministry with you tomorrow. Till then, take care. God bless.